treat.
Why don't you have a gumball?
Yeah.
Maybe a free day. No.
Why don't you have another gumball?
You should have two. You're such a good worker.
Better spit on that. It's kind of old.
Yeah, we watched that a while ago, like when it first came out.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, we
Oh,
love
dude.
that channel.
Yeah, dude. Like, I've been watching that guy's comics. Like, one time I watched the SpongeBob one, and I was just like, this is wild.
No, yeah.
So
So
salty dogs got
tasty.
and honey pot. And then they got rid of the Roger Rabbit one. I thought that was
Double wide surprise.
look at the bird surprise.
Oh.
Let me go, Mr. Wabbit. No, can't do that.
You're hurting me.
God damn it.
No, it was hilarious. Yeah, so when I seen that, I was like, oh, they know Gumball. I mean, not Gumball, but the regular show I showed them. No, I've been under the sea. Da, 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 da.
Call you Ariel.
Dude, it's rough. Rough, man. Like, you're so I'll tell you this right now. My sub is full of workout-holic people.
Oh.
Like, there's more protein on our sub than there is food. It is ridiculous
That's
the amount of
sad.
peanut butter these savages consume, dude. No, like
Peanut
our
butter,
EXO. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
like
carby though.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Like I have to work out as much as they tell me to work out, but I don't go full hog. Like some people are like, you go to the gym, Rice, and I'm like, no. They're like, you can't join our group, man. We're gym rats. And I'm like, that's cool. Go do that.
Teach their own.
Yeah, cause so on our sub, the left wing of the torpedo room is just for working out because our chief and the first class torpedo mates are like super big into working out. Like the chief torpedo mate has like a huge chest. He's like, look at put a little 7 in bad boy. And then the first class torpedoes mate's like he's literally is super built, dude. Like all he does is like if I don't see him walking around, he's like working out. And if you ever want to find him, he's just working out. So it's like really convenient. But like everybody works out. Like there's only a handful of people, and it's like the nukes, and then like the people that are just like skinny. Like the people aren't ripped. So like it's crazy. Like if you beat the assistant captain or the torpedo mate first class because he's the athletic advisor, you get a free day. But there's no beating them dudes because they're working out constantly.
Is he on the gear?
What's that?
Is he on the gear?
Yeah, I mean, like when I first hung out with them, they played baseball, and then they moved to football, and then they all got into volleyball. Like half of our boat was at the volleyball court, just like sitting and rotating out and playing volleyball.
Alex, you're by yourself. You gotta get out of there.
It's crazy.
But you enjoy
it. No, dude, it's fucking terrible, man. It's fucking terrible. Like, so when you're starting out, you don't have a warfare device. So your first, like, the average is 6 months is getting this warfare device. So during the time of getting this warfare device, you can't eat any sweets. You can't watch any movies. You can listen to them, but your eyes better not be fucking focused on the TV or you get bitch stabbed. And then you can't have any free time. You can't play with electronics. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, so what I did was for the first half was I was like a FSAer is what they're called, and it just means that you're a waiter / table buster. And I was doing that, and dude, like I learned all kinds of crazy ass shit. Like, so one of the cooks, the guy that cooks our food, is a nuke drop. So he used to be a nuclear like engineer, and he fell out of his class because they got to this point where like one of the subs went down, so they didn't know what to do with all these nukes, and they just put him in rates. And he's a cook, so he's like super pissed off because he's a really smart guy, but he's just cooking food. He makes awesome bread though, awesome bread. And like he like dogs on the new nukes who come. He's like, you're fucking useless, because he's already got his warfare device because he's been there for a while. And like he'll ask them just random ass questions about the boat, and if they don't answer it right, he just like shits all over them for not knowing. It is crazy. And he's from Michigan. He's from Michigan, dude. Like he's just like a simple guy. It's really nice. Like me and him talked about simple life most of the time, and because he grew up on a farm basically, and he built his first log cabin when he was like a teenager for himself on his like parent. They have 180 acres, and yeah, dude, I was blown away. And he's like, "Yup, dude, just easy living." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I love easy living." He's like, "Yup, man, Michigan, it's a nice place. I love it." I was like, "I do too, man. That's awesome." And we just talk about simple living. And the craziest part, so on the sub, you're always pretty much touching somebody. It's fucking.
It's very close quarters.
Yeah.
Is
So
it
like the
hot?
first time.
Like
It isn't that hot. It's not that hot, but where you sleep at, it smells like a gym bag because like all these people work out, and then after you're done work, okay, so there's only 3 toilets, 3 showers. That's it for 154 people. And like going somewhere, you're always pushed up against somebody. Like I used to say excuse me and shit in the first, and then like people just told me like just go the fuck by, dude, don't talk to me, just go the fuck by. So like I just pressed my body against theirs to slide by. And it's so crazy like not to be cooped up with a bunch of people. And like so there's a chemical that they put in the air called yeah, so it smells sort of like cat piss. And at first you smell it and you're like, oh, what the hell is that? And then it goes away like really fast. Like you don't even realize that the chemical's flowing, and you're like, damn. So during my deployment, like you gotta imagine, like if you had a room full of like 150 guys just living there with, you know, the monks themselves, like it would stink. It would stink a lot.
Ball sweat.
But the chemical like destroys your nose smelling ability, and it makes everything like fresh. So my chief ripped ass next to me, and I'm like, God, son of a bitch. And then like I didn't smell anything, so I was like, oh, you know, I guess it's not that bad. And then like we got up to surface, and they stopped pumping the chemical through the boat.
No.
And he ripped ass, and I was like, that's fucking horrid. And they told us not to wear our clothes when we leave the sub out in public, and I was like, oh, you know, like I don't understand what that's all about. But I took a shower for the first time, and I was like feeling fresh. And I went to go grab one of my sub shirts, and I smelled it. You can smell the chemical on it. I'm like, oh god, that's foul. So I have this bag full of chemical clothes now.
Nice.
Those are always going to be chemical clothes.
They're
Every
ruined.
time I go underway. Yes, it like sticks to shit. Like your socks turn kind of yellow and it's odd.
Just buy yellow
So-
socks. Problem solved. Yeah, I'm getting that guy up top.
That dude just ran at me and shot me in the face. Alex. There's a man with a shotgun sitting next.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I realized.
So, you know how like when you have kids, your kids are always bothering you and trying to go in the bathroom when they're younger. Nick told me a story about like the son putting his fingers under the door and saying, "Daddy, what are you doing?" and shit. And you always make me laugh. On a sub, it's the same. It's people learn you by your shoes because you can wear shoes underway. And I'm a yeoman, so like I do paperwork and clerical shit, and so people like want to talk to us all the time. And when I go to take a poop, people look at my shoes and they're like, "Oh, Rice, you're in there," and I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "So I just have some problems with my paperwork," and I'm just like, okay, and they're like trying to have a full-blown conversation with me.
And you're just
while I'm
like,
trying to use the
please.
bathroom. And you can't escape. You can't escape. The only way to escape is open the door and walk away, and they just follow you.
There's no escape. There's only punishment.
There it truly is. So what my life was like was 14 hours of being a waiter slash food prep, and then 4 hours of being a yeoman, and then going to bed and starting it over again like Groundhog's Day for a continuous time.
Ew.
You like, there's no Saturday, Sundays off. There's never a day off. Like, you don't get days off. You just work all the fucking damn time. And the only little bit of like freedom you get is when you're sleeping inside your rack, and there's like this thin little blue curtain, and it stops people from seeing what you're doing, and that's your like
Yeah,
personal space.
that sucks.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more than I thought it was. But everybody on the boat knows that I'm a shit speller because I went to take a test and I spelled material bag, meat blog, and all these A ganger guys just started ripping into me. They're like, dude, you're a yeoman, you can't spell for shit. Oh, fuck. And then I told my chief, and then my chief will slowly learn, and I told the captain of the boat, and the captain's all like, all you gotta do is get people's paperwork okay, talk to somebody on the phone, you're good. I don't care about your spelling. I'm like, all right. So, really weird situation. And a lot of people call me old fucker, because a lot of people are younger than me on the boat. And there's a couple of older people, but they're all like chiefs in first classes. And they don't interact with me very much. So it's quite kooky. It's quite kooky. So the thing they wanted me to do as an FSA is learn everybody's name and learn what they drink, so I could have it on hand for them. And I was like, there is no way in hell I am learning everybody's drink and their names. Like, fuck that. So what I did was I set up a system of 3 cups with like Kool-Aid, 3 cups like ice water, 3 cups just water. And I keep it going. And everybody takes what they want. It's a reggae system.
Victor too, right?
A Victor!
It's bullshit. He doesn't miss.
Ah.
Also, Daniel, you're just sliding.
Yeah. Sweet. Oh, that was really
But
nice.
my cup technique worked out. CS liked it. And another kooky thing is there's 3 meals. And if you eat all 3 meals, you're considered an asshole. And
Well, I
there
guess
are
that'd be a big prick then.
there's a guy called Big Rod, and he eats 3 meals, and he also gets like a lot of food. And another thing they stress to you is like always save food for your fellow shipmates, because you never know when you'll be hungry, and you start starving because there's just not enough food. But so I'm sitting in the kitchen one day talking to the cook, and we're bullshitting, and this guy comes in and goes, "Hey, what's for dinner?" And he like looks at him and goes, "Bread." And he goes, "No, seriously, what's for dinner?" He's like, "Why the fuck do you care?" And he's like, "I just want to know." And he's like, "Do you plan on eating it?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "It's this, this, and this." And he goes, "Oh, okay." And he walks away. And then we don't see him at dinner time. And I was like, that's fucking weird. He's like, "Watch this, he's getting weirder." And I was like, "What's that?" He's like, "Just wait 5 minutes." 5 minutes goes by, person comes in, "What's for dinner?" And he looks at him and goes, "I don't know. Do you know?" And he's like, "Oh, I was just wondering, man. Just wondering what's for dinner." He's like, "Do you plan on eating it?" And he's like, "Well, maybe. Depends on what it is." And he's like, "Oh, it's just bread." And he's like, "Just bread?" And he's like, "Just bread. Can't you see I'm making bread?"
There's a person behind you just shooting you. I don't mean to be rude.
I'm gonna die.
30 seconds remaining.
Paladins a shooter? I thought that was a MOBA.
It is.
Paladins? It's both.
It's a shooter MOBA?
15
It's
seconds
quite
remaining.
neat how they do it.
Yep, and I'm fucked.
9,
They have been.
7, 6, 5,
Oh, it's Overwatch. Is that what you're telling me?
1. Overtime.
Sure.
And I found out that Guam, this paradise tropical island that YouTube makes it out to seem, is technically a hellhole.
What?
Yeah. So
Oh my god, my game is
You're what?
glitching.
glitching.
By I mean lagging. Alright, go on, Guam.
So
Please.
I don't know what
Please
he
save
said,
me.
Dalton.
So the national race here is people called Chamorans.
I'm dead. Go on.
Yep, that's pretty much it. And the Chamorans have been attacked by Spaniards and Japanese that have raped and killed like a lot of them. So there's only a handful of like purebred Chamorans now, and like these 4 families basically rule the island like a little mobster family, and they dictate what goes on, and they own all the banks, they own all the stores, they own all the car lots, and like the cost of living here is expensive because the only thing that they get is stuff shipped over from America on freighters and no other country, because I guess they just don't want other countries' freighters coming into the harbor. It's like a long process to get the like paperwork or some shit. Like only 2 airlines actually come to Guam too, because it's a U.S. territory, and that's another taboo thing is airlines. So the cost of living is expensive. It's like if you go outside of the military place / the little teeny city, they have a city. Fucking kill him!
There wasn't anything.
It's just all like farmland. And there's lots of chickens running around and dogs and cats, and none of them are friendly. Like, I've been trying to, like, befriend all little animals, and none of them are nice.
Enemy double kill.
Like, I seen a kitty when I was at the sub harbor, and I was like, come here, little meow meow. And this cat just, like, stared at me like I had, like, worms coming on for years. Like, went over by the trash, and I was like, oh, it's just hungry. So, I didn't have any food, so I couldn't get it coaxed it. But, so far, out of the, like, 4 cats I've seen, none of them are friendly. Like these like the feral cats here are all like just kind of like mean. Well, they're not mean. They just don't come up to you. They're not like friendly cats. And then like the dogs are like skittish. Like the dogs usually like come near and then they'll just run the fuck away. And then like the roosters, they're everywhere, and they think about coming near you, and then I think they just realize you don't have any food, so they like walk away. So I need to start carrying like some kind of food on me to coax the animals.
You are.
They have big ass snails though. Like the snails are the size of your hand. They're huge. I seen a praying mantis. That was pretty cool.
Praying mantis are evil.
I mean, they're pretty good bugs. I mean, like.
This is ultimate. Be careful. Trying.
Enemy rampage. I feel stronger here. Enemy overtime. So they want to play.
And then I drove the sub, and the chief was all like, you know, usually guys don't have driver's license, and I always tell them like, hey, you drove a sub before you drove a car. You know, you don't need a license to drive a sub. And I did pretty well.
Didn't do it for you.